Paris was in shock and saw Roger Federer go 2-0 down to Germany's Tommy Haas in the fourth round. There was a strange atmosphere. But unlike Nadal, Federer found a way back and won in 5. With Nadal out, Federer had his best opportunity to win the missing major from his career slam.
5-7, 6-4, 6-0, 6-2.
His focus off-court intensified. And despite another 5-set scare against Juan Martín del Potro in the semi, Federer reached the final to face the conqueror of Nadal, Robin Söderling, who backed up his win over the Spaniard with victories over Nikolai Davydenko and Fernando Gonzalez. For Federer, history was on the line, as a win would bring him level with Pete Sampras, securing 14 majors and, most importantly, the career Grand Slam. A feat last achieved by Andre Agassi. In his fourth consecutive Roland Garros final, Federer was sublime, taking it in straight sets. This one of the most joyous moments of his illustrious career. Paris was in party mode, and this is what it meant to the crowd. To see Roger Federer lift La Coupe des Mousquetaires.
What a moment. Of course, it was less than a year earlier that Rafa won the Strokes of Genius match to win his first Wimbledon title. Now here's Roger winning his first Roland Garros title. Jim, was there a bit of historical symmetry in each one of those guys within a year of one another, proving that they could kind of get one in the other guy's house?
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Brett. And I think it's also worth pointing out that the year prior that Federer had lost in the finals badly to Nadal, he had mono and he hid it from all of us. And none of us really knew what he was feeling or suffering, but he was a step slow. And he was still able to win the U.S. Open that year, even though he lost in the finals of the French Open and Wimbledon to Nadal. But then he comes back after losing the #1 ranking, something he'd held on for many, many years in a row. Nadal took that from him. And now in 2009, he comes back and he wins the French Open when Nadal falters to Söderling, wins at Wimbledon over our compatriot Andy Roddick, 16-14 in the fifth. Sorry, Andy, if you're listening. And then reclaims the mantle at #1. So, I mean, that was quite a sequence in the history of our sport to watch these two guys. Nadal finally track it down, get to #1, and then Federer take it right back and get that long heralded French Open. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, and Federer is such a great clay court player, but unfortunately for him, playing in those finals and in that era of Nadal on clay, and I think it was so important for him, especially at that time, if you try and rewind 11 years, to try and get the career Grand Slam. And Pete Sampras wasn't able to do it. He tied Pete with that victory there at the French. And anything to kind of get on that path to the greatest of all time. This was huge for Roger. I think it's always toughest to win the one you want the most. And for a couple of years there, it was the French Open that Roger wanted more than anything. He got his break, almost slipped away the day after Nadal lost. They touched on it there. He played Tommy Haas down 2-0. And I think Tommy had some break points midway through that third set. And then Roger, something clicked for him. And to see him then be able to win there, that was pretty emotional for everybody.
And Jim, Lindsay mentions the Tommy Haas match, but we'll show you his entire road to the championship here. That wasn't the only big challenge that Roger faced along the way.
He was battling from the jump, basically. Easy first round, but then second round against Akasusa, that went for Henri Mathieu. Takes him the same. He gets a little bit of a breather against Monfils, but he was down 2-1 to Juan Martín del Potro. I mean, arguably, Söderling was the relief match in a way. Söderling may be out of gas, but let's tip our cap to Söderling. I mean, backing up that win over Nadal against two tough competitors, Davydenko and Fernando Gonzalez, Big Gonzo, that was impressive stuff from the Swede as well. A little bit of foreshadowing, the great coaching effort of Magnus Norman, who took him to that final, then would eventually get the title, coaching Stan Wawrinka a few years later.
All right, so with the win, Roger became the 6th man ever to complete the career Grand Slam. Rafa would be number 7. Novak would be number 8.